If you're a real estate agent and you're tired of cold calling, door knocking, and spending money on ads, then subscribe to this podcast. We discuss leveraging the power of YouTube for your real estate business and how these strategies earned us over $1 million in GCI our first year in real estate. My name is Levi Lascsak and my partner is Travis Plumb. Let's get started. All right, well, let's get started. We'll get this kicked off and get rolling. And so today we're going to be discussing. See, simple mistakes, simple, we mispronounce things all the time. Doesn't matter, just move forward, Now, that's the cool thing about filming and editing. Either, you can edit that out or, sometimes we play it up a little bit in our videos. But, you think about it. So many people I talk to that come into Clubhouse, definitely talk to me about being nervous or getting started on camera. And I'm always thinking, well, I think Clubhouse is really, I don't know, maybe it's just me. It's, Clubhouse is a live stage. When you think about it, that's the reason they call it the stage. When you come up to speak, you are on stage, you have an audience. And depending on how many people are in the room, a lot of people have spoken in Clubhouse to audiences a lot larger than they might ever get the opportunity at a live event or something. But, we don't get any do-overs. We can reset. I hear people say that all the time. Oh, let me reset. Or, sometimes we just lose our train of thought, but that's okay. It's all natural. It just, makes us human. It's what happens. The best speakers in the world have been practicing that forever, long times. But I know several speakers that have been in the game for 10-20 years and still sometimes mess up on stage or forget their train of thought or something like that. So it happens. But otherwise, we wanted to talk about getting started on YouTube today. Kind of like, again, I think for some of you this will be a review, but for others we want to kind of share just some really quick, simple steps. If you're considering now getting started on YouTube, moving forward, you're saying, all right, this is the time for me right now. It's time to go ahead and make that move. Well, there's, we're really good friends with Sean Cannell, Benji Travis. Sean Cannell's from Think Media. His tagline is, you just got to press record, which I believe in that wholeheartedly. You do have to press record. But I also believe in having a little bit of a plan in place in the first place. There's a very famous book out there, Ready, Fire, Aim, which the premise behind that really is to just take action, press record, just do it, just get going. And I do believe in that, but that's also a mentality that I've lived by almost my whole life. And the thing is that if you don't put in a plan sooner rather than later, I think that typically leads to things possibly falling apart later on down the road. At some point you have to have a vision, you have to have an understanding, you have to have a plan for what it is you want to do and what you want to accomplish. Some people look at that as goals, outlines, business plans, whatever the case may be. Maybe you do just get started. Maybe you do just film and start recording videos. But at the same time, I would caution against that because I believe the first step in getting started on YouTube, ideally, is to research, to really dig in, to understand, first of all, the platform. These platforms are very powerful from the producer side, and a lot of us are used to looking at it from the consumer side. And if that's the case, then especially us 40-year-olds in a 40-year-old range and above. Yeah, if you're in that 40-year-old age range and above, that's what I was trying to say, age range. If you're at that 40-year-old age range and above, we have this love-hate relationship with social media. We didn't grow up with it in high school, probably wasn't there in college either. Maybe it came around in your late 20s, early 30s. That's whenever it started to come around at that time. And then, of course, when it came out, we were like, okay, it's just a bunch of people bragging and posting their lunch and silly cat videos. So we didn't really see much relevance into it. Maybe, yes, we got an account eventually. We were probably late adopters, where we're like, okay, finally I'll get a Facebook account because everybody else has one. Yes, all right. But we never really understood it. We just got into it and again started to kind of see everything on the surface from a consumer side, and that's what we were treating it as consumers. And then, over the last several years, we're watching all the 20 and 30-year-olds come into the game and start to make money, start to make big money, good money, decent money, big money, outrageous money, all through social media. And, so we go, okay, well, maybe we've got to take this a little bit more seriously now. So that's the thing, is that, we look at that now and we're like, okay, all right, well, I'll get started. And a lot of people will just get started. And that's what I would just caution against of, yes, I do believe in that. I do believe action, can trump a lot of things, can overcome a lot of situations, but ultimately you've got to have some sort of plan in place. And I think that's what really helped me get off to a really good start, was researching, really trying to understand the platform first as a whole. How does it work? What are the guidelines? What are the principles? What are the fundamentals? What are the foundations of the platform? How does that all work? And guess what? There's books out there about these types of things. So, going back to Sean Cannell, Benji Travis, I think they've got one of the best books out there, YouTube Secrets. So I'd highly recommend getting that, especially the second edition. They just did an update on YouTube Secrets. And spoiler alert, Travis and I are actually mentioned in that book, which is really cool because, 2 years ago, it was one of the best books I picked up at the time. And now 2 years later, we're actually in that book, something that I would have never seen happen at all whatsoever. But that came through taking massive action and getting results. But, they talk about the fundamentals and principles of the platform. That's really what kind of started my creative juices going whenever I was researching which social platform did I want to start out on. Because even though everybody might say you've got to be on every single platform, you need to be everywhere all the time to reach as many people as possible, I don't really buy into that, because my belief is that if you try to get started on 5 different platforms at once, you're going to end up putting 20% effort into 5 different platforms. Can you ever really master one or achieve mastery at one if you're sitting there trying to do everything on 5 different platforms? I think that's very difficult to do. So I understood that from the beginning for myself, and I really wanted to dig in and dive in on one platform. That's what I wanted to do, because I knew if I could figure out one platform, a lot of the fundamentals and principles can apply to the other platforms, and it'll be a lot easier at that time. Once I gain momentum and traction on one, it's a lot easier at that time to then spread out to other platforms. So that was something that I wanted to just work on building up to, was mastering one platform. YouTube was actually my last choice. And once I started to dig into YouTube, that's, like YouTube Secrets was the book that really started to help me understand that it is a search engine, not a social media platform. So again, looking at the other platforms never really set well with me. I actually looked at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, because that's where, most people were telling me to go to in 2020. So I did, those were the platforms I looked at, but they just didn't really fit with my personality at the time. I just didn't think it was something that I can do. Plus, what I noticed was that to me, it seemed like a lot of seasoned agents, 5, 10, 15, 20 years in the business, that were giving a lot of educational content, talking about their experiences, their stories, and they had a lot of them, and I had none because I hadn't even completed a transaction yet. So, could I read about a VA loan and regurgitate that information on a video? Yeah, absolutely. But that it just didn't seem authentic to me. So even though I'm a veteran and I've gone through the VA loan process myself, so that would probably be something I would feel comfortable talking about. But, just kind of going through all the different things that I saw other agents really talking about or sharing their experiences or their stories. And I just thought, well, I don't have any of that yet. So I'm not sure if these are the platforms for me. And that's why I just kind of kept digging around, and once I looked at YouTube, started to dig into YouTube, then that's where I realized, okay, it's a search engine. And I bought really about 8 different marketing books. I mean, you can look up YouTube marketing and you'll find several books out there, but I went through them. A lot of them are very basic, and you can always pick up something from something, so as you read through this stuff, you can always learn about it. But the thing is that I just something clicked with me with YouTube Secrets, where it was like, okay, this kind of makes sense. I think, I started that in August, September of 2020, reading, doing the research. YouTube Formula did not come out, I think, until January of 2021, I believe. If I'm correct, around that time frame, and whenever that came out, that would be the second book I would recommend. Allow me to take a quick break to remind you that we have very important links in the description below. If you want the full story of how we closed over $1 million in commissions our first year and over $2.3 million in commissions our second year, check out the first link. Also, you have the link to our #1 Amazon best-selling book, Passive Prospecting. Last, if you enjoy this podcast and you're a giving person, leave a 5-star review, please. Now back to the episode. And the reason I'm recommending books right now is because they're a good foundation. I think they're a good foundation. Plus, it gives you something tangible, in your hands that you can highlight, read 2 or 3 times, go back, double check, jot some notes down. And so that really helps build the base. So when you get into research, don't get into analysis paralysis. This is something that we all know we can end up doing, is we can over-research and over-learn and just overextend ourselves, and then also never take action. So I'm not talking about researching yourself to death there either. What I'm talking about is really be very intentional about what you're researching. And that's where I like to say that you can, hyper-learn any subject in 60 days. So once you dig in and you start really understanding the platform, that's where, you go through those books, you jot down the notes, things that make sense to you, and then from there you're going to go to YouTube. And YouTube, you're going to check out different channels, like Think Media, like D. Nimmin, Nick Nimmin, Roberto Blake, channel makers. Let me see. TubeBuddy. You could look at TubeBuddy. You could look at video influencers. There's several more channels you could look at of creators that teach YouTube. Daryl Eves, who wrote YouTube Formula, teach a lot of stuff about YouTube. In addition to that, you can look at creators in general. Look at creators, any creator, really doesn't matter, but you could start looking in the real estate space, or you could look at any of those creators, or you could look at even Mr. Beast, even though he has really nothing to do with real estate, you can still look at how people create their videos, how they film things, how they position their cameras. So you start to pick those types of things up. Plus, it also makes Netflix a whole different ball game. If you love Netflix, next time you log into Netflix, just keep in mind that everything you see on the home screen of Netflix is a thumbnail. That is a thumbnail. And look at the pictures and the words and what do they have on there that actually grabs your attention to make you think about watching something on Netflix. And how many times have we gone on to Netflix and just scrolled around and looked at thumbnails for 20 to 30 minutes first, and then ended up watching trailers. And then next thing you know, you're like, well, an hour and a half has gone by, and all I did was look at 100 thumbnails, watched 8 different trailers, and still didn't decide on watching anything. But look at those thumbnails, look at the trailers. If you start to watch content, that's where you'll start to see how they film, how they angle the cameras, changes, things like that. So all of this kind of comes in your research, but ultimately, if you dig in over the next 60 days, you start to watch these creator videos about YouTube. You read the books, and then this is where you move into step 2. And I'll say, number 3, the third book you should absolutely get is, of course, Passive Prospecting, which not out just yet, but I would definitely add Passive Prospecting to the list. You can go to passiveprospecting.com and sign up to be notified when we do release the book. We will be releasing that probably in the February timeframe is what we're told right now is our timeline. So a lot of behind the scenes that still have to go on, but I'm super excited about that because it is really, really dialed in, I believe, on the first 9 chapters talking about the principles and fundamentals of YouTube and why I believe it's the best marketing platform out there, especially for not just real estate agents, but small business. And then the last 5 chapters are going to be dedicated to how to, actual steps and processes and things to do to get started. And so that will be a blueprint, I think, one of the first of its kind out there because, yes, YouTube formula and YouTube secrets, great to understand the platform, but they don't necessarily have a kind of a step-by-step guidebook in there. So that's just something that I would definitely go to passiveprospecting.com. You can sign up to be notified when we release that, but super excited about that. And I do hope that becomes in the same category or the same, mentioned in the same categories along with those 2 books. That would be a tremendous honor, and that's the goal. So once you research, then I would build out your business plan and actually build a business plan. So that would be number 2. If you treat YouTube like a hobby, it'll pay you like a hobby. If you treat YouTube like a business, it'll pay you like a business. And that's really the case in any of these platforms. I think they're all very powerful. Ours is YouTube. That's our choice of platform primarily. But I know several people that do well on Instagram and TikTok, even Facebook, but they have an understanding of those platforms. They get it. They've done the research. They've dug into those platforms. And so, that's something to keep in mind. So write out your business plan. Once you start watching these channels, you're going to take a lot of notes, a lot of information, and, piece all that together. And this is where you have to organize all of those thoughts and notes and be able to, position them into a plan of action. And this is where you're going to start curating all that information and, keep in mind about what they say about publishing times, consistency, times of days, all that type of stuff. And just keep in mind that it's all an experiment anyways. So in the beginning, you can plan all of that out. And I think that's really critical so that you have a good understanding of what to do next. Because that's the thing, whenever I started out, I didn't really question for the first 3 months, what am I going to do next? It was already a part of my business plan. So if I'm going to shoot, 2 or 3 videos a week or publish 2 or 3 videos a week, what does that look like? What are the videos? It wasn't just like, hey, let me just start with a video talking about myself, publish that, and then I'll figure out what the next video is. And that's where a lot of people make mistakes is they film one video, they get super excited and they say, okay, I've got to get this out there as soon as possible because it's going to go viral and make me a lot of money. And the case is that, that's not really the case. Not really the case. So, if you film that one video, great. But if you don't have the second or third ready to go, I would just hold it. I would be patient. But this has to all be part of your plan. And so as you're doing that, you're going to write these types of things out. Okay, first of all, figure out how many videos per week do I want to publish? What am I going to commit to myself? Because whatever I commit to myself right now, I'm going to stick with it. I have to. It has to become a non-negotiable. So if I'm going to do 2 videos a week, that's it. That's what I'm committing to. If it's going to be 3, I have to commit to that. So what are those videos going to be? When am I going to publish them? Is it going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Is it going to be Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays? Is it going to be Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays? It's going to be at 7 p.m. at night, 6 p.m. at night, Saturday. Now, the thing is that on YouTube, does it really matter in the beginning? Well, you don't have much of an audience, if any at all. So maybe not so much. And it does take about 20 videos or so before YouTube will tell you when your audience is on the platform the most, which is very helpful. But in the meantime, I would fall back on common sense and say, okay, think about it. Put yourself in your customer's shoes, in your client's shoes, and say, when would they likely be watching videos about moving or researching an area? Probably evenings, right? Maybe on the weekends, maybe Sunday night, because when people got to make moves, think about it, they're probably busy during the day, work, school, kids, all kinds of stuff, family. And then when they get home at night or, after dinner, they're going to start researching. That's probably likely when it's going to happen, unless they have flexibility during the day. But you got to think about the majority of people. Are they going to be researching Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon? Probably not. Maybe not as much. Saturday or Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon? Probably not as much, but maybe Sunday night, because as the new week approaches, deadlines are approaching, decisions are approaching, and they've got to get the information they're looking for. So think about that in the beginning. And if I'm going to publish, 3 times a week, just pick something and stick with it for, the first month or two, unless you get a sense that you want to try something out. Or if you're going to publish 3 times a week, try something out for the first 2 weeks, switch it up to the following 2 weeks. Going back and forth like that, changing up times of days and things like that, I don't think really makes a big impact. Now, maybe if you wanted to put on your banner, new videos every Tuesdays and Thursdays, will that help in the beginning? It could. It could give people a very clear understanding of when you're publishing a course, when to check it out, of course, because even though, yes, people subscribe and get notifications, a lot of the times audience don't subscribe. They could watch your channel for a month or 2 or 3 sometimes and never be subscribed to the channel. It just, they check it out whenever it pops up on their home screen or something like that. But if you put that on your banner, hey, new videos every Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, that can help condition your audience. But at the same time, you are committing to that. And I would highly recommend that you stick around to that commitment, because you don't want to put that up there if you start faltering from that within 2, 3, or 4 weeks. So if you want to keep it generic, new videos every week, something like that, I think that's okay. And if you want to experiment, again, you won't really know until about 20 or so videos into your channel, whenever YouTube will then tell you when your audience is, on the platform at certain times. And for us, it's pretty consistent. It's Sundays through Thursdays. If we publish around 7 p.m., that's where we're likely going to capture a majority of our audience. Now, have we conditioned them for that as well? Possibly so, because we've pretty much stuck with that. But we've tried all different ways. We've tried Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, all different ways. Try publishing at 8 a.m. Saturday morning, noon on Saturday, noon at Sunday, noon or evening on Sunday. So, and it's different. We haven't really correlated anything to, a specific day of the week. Thursday night videos do seem to do pretty well. Sunday nights were doing well until they weren't doing so well. So again, just things change at all times, but ultimately the consistency is really critical. And so that's something else that you want to figure out in your plan. So once you've researched, now you've built out your plan. So, and part of your plan is what videos do you want to shoot? So that is something else, is that don't guess from every video to every video. You don't have an audience in the beginning, so it's going to be difficult to determine what do they want, except you can determine that by search results. So if you search, and this is something that we've always talked about, is that it's very easy to research, suburbs and look at the most ranked suburbs in your area. And of course, for us, we think that Frisco probably is the most popular suburb in Dallas, but, Plano has about 200,000 more searches per month than Frisco. So if we want to get found sooner rather than later, will making videos on Frisco help? Absolutely. Making videos on Plano first, well, giving us 200,000 more views of an opportunity to probably get found quicker. So, can we make a Plano, then a Frisco, then a Plano, then a Frisco? Sure. Why not? But still, that's the thing, is that, research and look at, rank all your suburbs and figure out what's the most searched, because that search audience is out there, and that's going to help you get found sooner rather than later, is because there's people there. You just have to put yourself directly in front of them, and that's going to help bring more eyeballs to you very quickly. So, the thing is that have an understanding of, okay, well, if I've got Frisco and Plano and Prosper, these are my 3 main suburbs. Okay, well, what are the 4 main video types? I've mentioned this all the time on our stage talks. There's 4 main video types that are very simple, that pretty much work in any type of market. And that's a vlog tour, a map tour, a neighborhood tour, and then or a vlog tour, map tour. Then you have top list videos basically. And why am I thinking about the vlog tour, map tour? Then we do, Chrissy, why am I drawing a blank on that 3rd one?
Pros and cons.
Yeah, pros and cons, that's right. Pros and cons. Yeah, the most basic of them all, really. So anybody can do pros and cons. Top list videos, top 5 this, top 6 that, top 7 this, top 8 that, or something like that, list videos. So those 4 main video types, really very simple. And that's something that you could start to, if you have 3 different suburbs times 4 videos, that's 12 videos right there. So if you think about that, you're like, okay, well, if I'm going to publish 3 times a week, that gives me my first month's worth of content. And so, that kind of transitions over into step number 3, which is to film a month's worth of content before you even get started, before you publish. So that way, if you've picked out your top 3 suburbs, you got those 4 videos, and you want to focus on that, then you film those 12 videos. And therefore, that's good to go and ready, because you want to get those all scheduled out. And once they're scheduled, then number 1, that's peace of mind. It relieves a lot of pressure. And then also, that you're scheduled a month in advance. And so from there, you can say, okay, well, once I get ready to publish that first video, guess what I have to do? Now I got to start making the next 12 videos. But I've got a month's worth of a buffer built in, so that I can get that taken care of. And now the thing is the reason you want to do that is because once we start publishing content, guess what happens? Everything happens, right? Life happens, health happens, real estate happens, family happens, and if you aren't careful, then nothing will happen. And this is where a lot of people, make that mistake of publishing their first video or 2, but that's all they've filmed, and then something comes up. It could be family, health, just whatever, we know. It happens all the time. Things come up, and then next thing we know, we're like, oh, wait a second. I need to, get going. I need to publish something, and then you're stuck and you're behind. So that's what you don't want to happen, and you don't want to miss a week or 2, your second or third week. And so that way, you just want to keep focus on being able to publish content, being scheduled out in advance, and then that way, you'll be good to go. So once you do that, once you get that all set up and ready to go, then consistency is going to be very critical. So that's the 4th step, is consistency is king. Or we say content is king and consistency is queen. So therefore, once you stay consistent on that, that's how you do that, is by publishing a month's worth in advance. Is a month the right number? Well, it's just a recommendation, right? It's just a recommendation. So, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, whatever type of buffer you feel comfortable with. The reason I just recommend a month is because we've just seen it time and time again. Even at 2 weeks, 2 weeks can go by very quickly. So if you schedule out 2 weeks worth of content, it's going to come up very quickly. And next thing you know, it can be right on top of you. And so what does that do? That creates that pressure, that concern, and that's whenever we start to compromise on quality and things like that. And so it's better to just find your momentum and find your pace there. Once you once you've done that, the fourth step, being consistent, really comes down to scheduling and figuring out what's your game plan. How are you going to stay consistent? And so that should be part of your business plan as well, which is, okay, when am I going to film? Am I going to film one video or 3 videos each week? Film one video on a Monday and a Tuesday and a Wednesday, or am I going to take Friday morning and film all 3 videos Friday morning? Am I going to do that Monday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon? When's the time of your business that seems like there's the least amount of things going on? It could be a Tuesday afternoon. If you're working with clients, typically they want to see homes on the weekends or possibly the evenings. So maybe Tuesday afternoon is one of those down times where it's like, all right, I could block off Tuesday afternoons and film my 3 videos that day. And then I do that and I'm done. And so all I've got to do is do that for the next, every Tuesday, get that month built up, and then just stay consistent on those Tuesdays. For me, right now, Fridays is just a easier time frame. It seems like if we're traveling or conferences, things like that, they typically seem to be on the front end of the week, sometimes on the back end. It's just hard to time that stuff, but Fridays is a day that I like to block out, and that's where I can knock out quite a bit during that time frame. Sometimes, or even at the end of the day, if I'm at the home office, I'll just record a video at the end of the day. And so as long as I'm scheduled out, and am I maintaining the month in advance at this point? Not so much. More like at 2 weeks, 1 to 2 weeks, give or take. And that's just because of the amount of travel and things like that I've been involved in. It's that does make it very challenging. So that's the other thing is, if you're traveling, vacationing, conferences, things like that, that's why filming in advance is so important, because travel schedules can really get you thrown off. So that's something to keep in mind. So once you do that, consistency is going to be critical for that point forward. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. So those are really kind of the 4 main steps. Of course, I would also say the last step, the final step, and this is something that, we've put together a whole course on this, and that would be something that I would recommend. The thing is that it's a shortcut. I've gone through several courses in my life. Still get courses right now. When I want to learn something, to me, it's the fastest track to go through something. I still invest in mentorships, coaches, all of that. All of that is an investment in yourself. And I think there's no better investment than in yourself. But it's really up to you. If you follow the main format of what I just laid out, is the information out there? Can you do it? Yeah, sure. Absolutely. That's the way I did it. Built everything out from a lot of research, but it took me a couple of months to do that. And so it also comes down to, the value that you place on your time and what you can do. So the main thing is that whatever way it's going to be, whether you research everything organically or you look into investing in a course or something like that, I just think that you just got to get going, and if you have more than 1 year left in your real estate or mortgage career or your small business in general, I think you owe it to yourself to invest into video marketing. It's the best way to scale yourself and, really, really provide you opportunity of business that I just don't think any one individual can really can really generate. I mean, yes, there's some master networkers and referral people out there, but I also believe they hit a cap. You can only hit a cap so much on your own efforts. I mean, it's just reality. And video is something that is working for us consistently, and it allows us to scale and to provide support and a life to so many other team members as well. So it's not just us, we're able to support a team, and they've made significant incomes as well, and that's what we love about it. And because of that, the video just outlives any of my efforts. I mean, it compounds so much, and it's a great opportunity to do something once and let it work for you over and over and over again, which is why we love the term passive prospecting. Everybody loves the concept and the idea of passive income. But again, it takes work to build up that income stream to get to passive income. And then, of course, is it truly passive? There's probably still some maintenance and things you got to do on the back end, but otherwise, you can get to a passive income. But think about prospecting. If you want to keep business coming in consistently, so that you're not directly involved in it, that's where you put in the work up front to make the videos. And when you make those videos, then they go to work for you. And that's what I love the most about passive prospecting, is because I've been in sales for 20 plus years, love sales, hated prospecting. And I felt like I had prospected 90% of my time. I was always out hustling. It was the reason that I had to make phone calls all day, or go out and meet people, or email campaigns. Had to do it every single week, just because I had to continually prospect to generate those appointments. And that was just something in my move into real estate. I just made that commitment to myself, which was to figure out a way to scale myself this time, to not get caught up in just my individual efforts 100%. So that's what I think is really comes into the power of passive prospecting through video, and I think it just will absolutely change your business. So let me see. I'm gonna check the chat real quick. Chrissy, is there anything you would like to add to that?
No, I think that was perfectly said. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to those different items, doing the research and being consistent. And I think if you can do a lot of those things, a lot of those simple things and those simple habits that you have are really the key to having success. And I think a lot of people think that it's these big strides that people take at the very beginning that really gives them that momentum, but it's typically the people who are doing that steady progress all of the time, and not the people who make this gigantic effort at the beginning and then just kind of fall off the map after a month or two. If you don't see something happen immediately on your channel, a lot of times that discourages people. And I've had the excuse, well, I didn't really get that much traction on my first 3 videos, so I decided that I don't want to do the videos anymore. And that's not enough time to give you a real good read on what's going to be successful for your channel. So that consistency, just that, can-do attitude for knowing that this is a long-term strategy is going to help you. And that's really a key. It's just having that grit to keep moving forward, even when you don't see that movement immediately. Those are the people that are successful, not the people who make giant strides at the beginning. It's the small steps along the way that keep you consistent, that keep you, from falling off the map with your channel.
Yep. Let me see. I don't think I really saw anything. I saw we've got a couple of spammers in there, but other than that, as Eric says, where do I send a YouTube banner for review? I think he's probably talking about, Eric Cunningham, Chrissy, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, you're probably talking about our channel reviews. You can do that in the Facebook group in the actual event for the live event. If you go to events within the Facebook group, in that thread, you can go ahead and submit anything that you would like us to review for you.
Yep. And we'll be doing that tomorrow. Let's see. Hello from Cumming, Georgia. Hey, Sherry, how are you? Connie, yes, Connie Campbell, good to see you. Chris, hello to you as well. William, Vanessa, Rue, Mary, Rob, good to see you all. So I don't see any questions in there today. So I'm actually traveling back to Dallas today. Spent the weekend in San Antonio just to get out of town a little bit. caught the Spurs game last night. They won. Boy, they were up 20-something points, and then it came down to literally like the last second. And then they barely won by the Jazz came within 3 points. Is that your team, Chrissy? Is that your old basketball team, the Utah Jazz?
Yeah, I mean, the Utah Jazz, I kind of gave up on them when they lost to the Bulls years and years ago. My heart never recovered. So I don't really keep up with the basketball over there.
Yeah. Well, it's funny is because, everyone's like, why are they called the Jazz in Utah? I don't believe there's a huge Jazz present in Utah, but I believe that it was the old New Orleans team.
Correct.
And they moved the franchise to Utah and just kept the name Jazz.
Yep.
And,
it doesn't make any sense at all.
Oh, I know. And their uniforms last night were like just straight fluorescent yellow and black. I thought they were pretty.
They've always kind of had weird colors for me. I remember it was purple and yellow back when I really followed them. But yeah, they're definitely more New Orleans.
Well, purple and
everything.
gold. Yeah, purple and gold is Mardi Gras colors. So
exactly. It definitely does not fit in with the Utah vibe.
But anyways, it was a great game. We pretty much had floor seats, which was awesome. And but the Spurs, they were up. It's amazing. We were sitting right behind the Jazz bench. It was funny. The players were literally like stand right in front of us. We're stretching out, doing rubber bands and stuff. And fun fact, I've started my sneaker collection lately. And it's funny, like almost every single player, had a different pair of sneakers, but I had pretty much every single one of those pairs, just in different colors. So it was funny because we're like, oh, those are my shoes, but in this color. Oh, I've got those shoes, but in a different color. So kind of having fun with that. But anyways, got to hang out, spend some time in San Antonio, and get out of town for a little bit. So we're about to head back. So anything else you want to throw in there, Chrissy, or?
No, I think that's great. We're heading into a great new year, and there's some big opportunities coming, especially at the beginning of the year. So if you haven't made a plan for getting started on YouTube or getting more consistent on YouTube, now is the time to do it, because I have a feeling that the beginning of next year is going to be a great thing for a lot of people who decide to get consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, y'all have a great day, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us on today's podcast. If you're interested in partnering with us to access our YouTube course and coaching at no cost, schedule a call at passiveprospectingpartner.com.